gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the new speed presented to you by Ladies Like and Survivor. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow, keep you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news, follow. The illegal trade in ivory and other endangered species is a great challenge to African wildlife authorities and security agencies. Uganda has become a key transit country for illegal ivory trade, mostly from Congo thick forests, where smugglers are widely spread. Entebbe International Airport has also become a route of transit to the illegal export of ivory to mostly Asian countries. Authorities admit it's hard to catch these well-organized criminals who are also well-coordinated and collude with corrupt officials. A consignment destined for Netherlands was intercepted to security with stolen ivory from the stores of Uganda Wildlife Authority. After an inquiry, 5 officials were put under suspension and Interpol was called in to aid in the investigation. Poor surveillance has made it easy for the culprits. It has strengthened its intelligence unit and trained more officers to inspect all parks and entry points at the borders. The Wildlife Act Amendment, which is before Parliament, proposes to punish poaching with 20 years of imprisonment or a fine equivalent to the confiscated product of both, to stop the smugglers and the corrupt hustlers who have been taking advantage of the existing weak laws. Because the fine paid by these smugglers is only 1 million shillings, is a slap to the wrist to these criminals who make billions. Poachers are depleting wildlife across the African continent to satisfy Asia's demand for ivory's medicine and ornaments. Our neighbor Tanzania has just passed a new law. The Non-Citizen Employment Regulation Bill is what it's called. The law prohibits companies from hiring foreigners unless they can prove there is no qualified Tanzanian citizen. If a local has the skills and experience required, the question is, why then would a foreigner be hired? Critics see this as a setback to the East African community, which is supposed to be transitioning to one economic entity. But this bill can affect free movement of labor and worsen the country's relations with its neighbors. Some members of parliament have expressed their worry, saying that the bill will hurt the Tanzanian economy. The bill comes a few months before the general elections. Well, is it possible that there might be a connection? It's not unusual for leaders to find social groups to blame, point fingers at scapegoats and try to isolate them. They blame them for all the ailments afflicting the country, the high gas prices, lack of jobs and even insecurity. But this is just another form of political trickery. We need Ugandans to be able to work in Tanzania just as much as we need Rwandese and Kenyans to work in Uganda. Unity makes a people go strong. Just look at the United States or the European Union. But how can Uganda, Tanzania and others coexist? Our union is still so weak to give us any profit. So long as fear is drilled in the minds of citizens, they will continue to think in terms of us and them, and the unity of our region will never be reality, but just another great Pan-African fantasy. They say there's no stronger bond than that between a mother and a child. Our reporter MC Loy is here with the details.
Today isn't Mother's Day, but every day our moms we should celebrate. Last week our mother was honored in Egypt. She was called Ideal Mother and her story is hard to resist. The story of Sister Abdawo is truly incredible. What she did for her daughter was unbelievable. 43 years ago the poor woman lost her husband. The worst part was she was already pregnant. In Egypt, as a lone widow with a child, there are only a few things you can do to survive. Back in the days only men could go to work. So there was only one solution: dress up as a man and hope not to get caught. She worked making bricks and polishing shoes in the streets. Eventually she married off her daughter, but the husband fell ill and couldn't support her. So the grandmother dressed up again and continued to support her daughter and her husband. She wore a jilbab with a white turban and black clean shoes to fit amongst them. She said she felt she could choose between begging or laying bricks and cleaning shoes. Today's Egypt is different than that of yesterday, but when it comes to equality, giving Sister Abdawo a medal is only a step on the way. I'm MC Loy, reporting for Newsbeat.
Thank you, MC Loy, for that report. Africa is at the center of mobile technology revolution, reaching over 50% of total population. When in 2000 it was only 1%, researchers predict it will soon be 80%. There are over 35 operators in Africa competing to control a large coverage area. 10 million Ugandans now have mobile phones, and people are now realizing it's not just a calling, it can also do much more. Today we look at mobile phone technology. It's greatly improving health service delivery. Living Goods Health Entrepreneurs have micro entrepreneurs. They go door to door to visit families, teaching them about health living. and selling them low-cost health products such as malaria treatment, water filters, and deworming pills. Mobile phones are used to deliver the system, but also allow health entrepreneurs to tackle the problem. Agents use cell phones to register and track pregnancies, to treat children illness and keep up with emergencies. Living Good sends weekly text messages to its customers, educating them on vital health behaviors, and even have an on-call health worker system where people can send SMSs 24/7. Those health entrepreneurs are now taking technology to the next level, making it a tool to make our lives better. That was the news on the beat. Next week will be another hit. Still Lady Sly
and Survivor,
reporting live and direct with love and respect. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.